yeah, we are working on the future of artificial lift, which I'll get to in a minute. And for the mining crowd, know this chunk of neodymium isn't up there, so I can talk about mining for the ore of it. Obligatory forward-looking statements. I don't normally put up a slide about our board of directors. It's up here today because it asks a question about, if you look up who these guys are, they're veterans of the oil patch, very, very seasoned. And you should be asking yourself, why was I able to attract these people to our board? And what did they see? And the answer to that question would be the same answer to your question of why should I own Divergent? And that's because we're on the verge of releasing a very disruptive technology that's going to change the landscape of how oil companies pump oil out of the ground. Right now, we're a very small company. We haven't had the big catalysts of getting commercialized on this permanent magnet motor. We have a small operation in Gillette, Wyoming. It has 24 people in the whole company, including the head office in Calgary. We make a modest, we made $2.6 million this year in sales. So we're pre-growth, pre-catalyst all the way along. The types of artificial lift equipment, you can look this up at your leisure. There's electric submersible pumps is essentially what we do. It can pump water, can pump oil, a mixture of those, a little bit of gas. There's different types, different ways to get it out. The conventional stuff isn't why you want to own us. Our operation in Gillette is attractive to some people. It's been cash flow positive for 10 quarters in a row now as an operating entity, as a subsidiary, which is a remarkable statement considering the state of the oil and gas industry right now. It's right down in the dumps. And the market, even in Wyoming, has collapsed. But these guys down there have worked really hard, dug deep, and have grown their market share and are gobbling up market share. And they're doing a great job, and it's a perfect place to launch the motor that we're going to come out with. The target markets that we're looking at, this is all low-hanging fruit. These are not complex wells. The drilling geometry is easy. It's light, crude, big casing, easy to get our equipment into. It's not that deep. Canada, we're talking about southern Saskatchewan, southeastern Alberta. We're going to be into Wyoming, where we're already at, but to both ends of the border, northern Colorado, Williston, North Dakota. North Dakota is a hot spot for what we could do up there. There's 9,500 wells that I've counted up that would be ideal candidates for what we're doing. The long-term growth drivers for us, when we embarked on this journey of trying to develop a submersible magnetic drive pump, it was the rod pump market that we were looking at. There's 750,000 pump jacks working in North America today. And depending on how the well is drilled or why it's drilled that way, those pump jacks cost a lot of money to maintain throughout the year. Upwards of some of them, if the rods fail because they bend and straighten every time the rod goes up and down, you can be talking about $150,000 a year per well just to maintain operations. On a capital front in the States, they start with a big submersible pump to get all the frack water out, and then they put a pump jack on. Well, that's costing them $250,000 to put that pump jack out there. We're hoping we can cut that in half by just going to another submersible pump and not bringing up that big footprint of the steel knotting donkey. In addition to that, pretty much every well that's going to be drilled now, especially in Canada, is going to be horizontal, and the mass majority are being drilled for oil. And right now, there really isn't a good solution to get a rod pump all the way down into the horizontal. The rods just weren't meant to be bent 90 degrees. Our pump removes all the moving parts from the wellbore. There are no external moving parts. Everything moves just inside the housing of the pump, and you can set it right down in the horizontal section of the well. So that gets us past the existing limitations on the technology that have always been there. And the reason that we're really bullish on our pump and how far we can grow, it's not just about the existing market, but every oil well seems to need a pump today. And the artificial lift market globally is expected to grow at over 10% annually and end up being a $27 billion market from where it is today. That's a huge, huge market for us as a little microcap company to be playing in with a technology that's going to take a huge kick out of the major players in there, like the Lufkins, the big guys owned by GE that build pump jacks. So what is the future of artificial lift? What does that look like? So we're working with a Chinese partner that was developing this technology with PetroChina. And we've got the exclusive rights to their technology to bring it into North America. So we have a test well in Saskatchewan that we've been working on. And so when we get out there, you can take away all the surface equipment, all the nodding donkeys, dotting and blotting out the skyline would be gone. Eliminate the sucker rods. That's the cost of all the maintenance fees of all the rod wear and tubing wear that's just bleeding oil companies' money for production costs. Eliminate the leaking wellheads. If you've ever been out to a well site that has a pump jack on it, where the rod leaves the wellbore, there's no way to get a really perfect seal, so oil spills out over that. I spent 4 summers in northern Alberta with an oil company washing up those wellheads and painting them back to the original color, and then come back a week later and repeat as required. Great job for your kids, by the way. So this summer, we released all of our, a set of prototypes that we had built to try them out under different scenarios and in some different wells, different configurations. And we took everything we learned, went back to our Chinese partner and created a second generation of the pump, tightened up some tolerances, reduced some of the elements in there so there's fewer parts. And we created a motor that has 25% more power, and when it moves has 50% less friction on the inside. So we're talking about a lower power draw. This pump actually only draws between 20 and 28 amps power when it's turned on. So that's a pretty low amperage draw. That is essentially our story. That's a quick presentation, I know, but it's a simple product. It's mechanically simple in nature. There's one moving part, and the essence of why you would want to own Divergent is we're past the prototype stage, and we are now embarking on the journey of working towards capitalizing this. And if you look back at our stock chart, we went on a run up to our 52-week high of 54 cents, just playing around on prototypes and testing things out, and the market got all excited. So ask yourself when you go away today, where will that stock go when we're commercialized and putting out hundreds and then thousands of these a year and not just playing around? So we're trading what he said. Thank you very much.